Hey everybody, Steve Prziborowski here. Welcome to episode 74 of Reach for the Firefighter Badge. Episode 74 is going to discuss more about what does a firefighter actually do, part 3. So let's get going. As a reminder, my two websites have lots of great free information on there to help you be the best that you can be in your pursuit of the badge. Also, 2 of the 3 books are available on my website, actually all 3 of them, but these are the 2 that are related to helping you be the best firefighter you can be. There's also a promotional preparation book for once you get on the job. So, in previous episodes, number 4 and 73, we discussed what does a firefighter actually do. Let's build upon that. So we're going to continue with some more actual details of the day in the life of a typical firefighter somewhere around the country. So as I've talked about before, and I don't mean to demean this or talk down or sound condescending or whatever else, but I sarcastically say it's all about fighting fire and saving lives, right? I mean, well, that's why most of us get into this, but that is such a small percentage of what we actually do. Shocker, breaking news, on any given day, a firefighter could find themselves serving in many other roles. Again, fighting fire is usually less than 5% of our job. Actually saving lives is a really small percentage. I mean, we run a lot of medical calls mostly, but most of those are not life-threatening events. So what are some of the other things we do? Well, one being administrative assistant. In our department, that used to be the term for secretary. Well, secretary, the more modern term, is now administrative assistant, someone who supports somebody from an administrative staff. For example, as the Deputy Chief of Training, I have 2 administrative assistants that support our division, not just me, but our entire division. But you may think about it, secretary or administrative assistant, that's not me. Yeah, it is. If you think about it, especially if you're a company officer, you're doing a lot of administrative related items without the support of anybody else. So you are your own administrative assistant. I mean, when I was a firefighter, captain, battalion chief, I didn't have an administrative assistant. Then I became a deputy chief and it's like, wow, I have an administrative assistant. Awesome. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't do the work and I don't dump things on that person or those persons in my case, but they're there to support our entire division. But again, we do a lot of secretarial work. And again, I don't mean to use that in a demeaning term, but that's the term that's probably more understanding by most. So you think about it, there's an office in every firehouse, and a lot of what we do is documenting what we do, whether it's in the logbook, whether it's on the computer. Well, definitely on the computer. We log our training hours. Every time we go on a response, we have to log that, report our activities. If we do fire prevention inspections, log all that. We have to send emails, read emails, follow up with things. So we do a lot of these roles too. Hey, dishwasher. I talked earlier about being a chef, being a cook, but we also have to wash dishes. I suck at cooking. I'm not a cook. God forbid I'd have to cook to save my life. I'd be in trouble. But I learned very quickly I better be a darn good dishwasher, because you know what? If I can't cook, I better have some use there at the firehouse. So I hopefully do dishes decently. Custodian or janitor, whatever term is most appropriate. But you think about it, we don't hire maids, as I mentioned previously, to clean our station. That's us. So we're the ones every day, usually at the start of our shift, that have to go clean the toilets, clean the showers, mop the floors, sweep everything out, clean the kitchen. That's us, so you better know how to do those things. And again, all these things I'm mentioning, I'm hoping that your parents, your guardians, whoever raised you and whoever formed you or helped form you, hopefully taught you a lot of these things, because if not, you're almost at a disadvantage. I mean, don't blame, I guess blame them at this point, but it doesn't do any good. But hopefully if you have kids, you're teaching them how to do all these things as well too, because again, that's how we get things done. And that's how we train and educate and mentor the future. Also, landscaper. We don't typically have landscapers that mow the lawn of the firehouse. So if there's a lawn at a firehouse, guess what? There's probably a lawnmower, physical lawnmower. And then the lawnmowers are us, as well as, doing the, God, sorry, drawing a blank. It's not just lawn mowing, but it's also, edging or cleaning up or trimming the hedges, clipping the hedges, the trees, whatever else. We do landscaping work. Painting sometimes. Now, we're not there to usually paint the entire firehouse, but occasionally we may be doing touch-up paint depending on what, your department expects of you. We may be a law enforcement officer. You're like, huh? No, you're not carrying a gun, mind you. You're not a true trained peace officer by definition of the law. But you may be a law enforcement officer in the sense that sometimes we arrive before the law enforcement folks arrive. Sometimes we arrive after them, but sometimes we may be the initial law enforcement officers. And when you look at a true law enforcement officer, what they do to assist us on the fire ground, they're there primarily for traffic control because they have the legal authority to do that. They have the ability to help with perimeter control or evacuation of public, not private areas, but public areas. We can't force people out of their homes, but we can encourage them, and sometimes having law enforcement help us with that is good. But traffic control, evacuation, so if we arrive to a traffic accident scene and there's no law enforcement there, we may be the ones initially that are helping move traffic. Now, again, you may not be that well trained in how to accommodate traffic or how to successfully, safely move traffic or clear a perimeter, but we may be doing those things. Also, I guess this is double pot. I mentioned custodian janitor twice. Well, maybe I should have separated it, but anyway, it's there for a second time. And you know what? That's what we do. So let's move on to 20. Also, maybe a service station attendant. I could have said gas station attendant, but it's not just gas. There's also diesel fuel. But if you think about it, we fuel our own vehicles. So we're the ones that actually fuel our vehicle. Most firehouses have usually a fuel tank that we use. Or if your firehouse doesn't, maybe you have to go to another firehouse, or maybe there's a central location that you use, maybe at the corporation yard, maybe at headquarters, maybe somewhere that we have to fill our own fuel. And usually daily, check our oil, check our other fluid levels. That's the responsibility of the engineer or the driver. And clean our windows and everything else. Some other things. We may be serving as an accountant. You may be an accountant. What am I talking about? Well, if you're in charge of cooking the meals for the day, you may be the one that has to go shopping. So there's 3 people on duty and you spend $40 for 3 people for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're the one that has to, account for everything and say, all right, Tom, you know, everyone's chipping in $13.50, you know, payable cash, Venmo, check, if you could even find a check these days, or PayPal or whatever it is. But again, accounting for not just daily food fund, but also maybe the kiddie fund, the firehouse fund, or whatever it's called, to buy the basic staples that are not usually covered in day-to-day meals. Maybe a financial advisor or planner. If you think about it, we're not going to be ever experts in all this stuff, but again, you've got your own life, your own career, your own family that you've got to plan for. And you know what? You need to plan wisely, because you don't think of these things when you're younger, but they matter a lot when you get older, like me. So hopefully you find the right resources to use, or to help others, or to mentor others, or get mentored. You know, you're a truck driver. You're like, truck driver? Yeah, truck driver. The fire trucks are usually ladder companies, the big long ladder companies. Fire engines are usually called engines or pumpers, but again, still it's a truck because it's bigger than a car. So you're driving a truck. If you're driving a fire engine, a truck, a rescue, whatever else it is. So yeah, you're a truck driver that has to, you know, be more aware than, say, if you're driving a Honda Accord. 2 different types of vehicles. You know, you're a chauffeur. And if you think about it, the driver, the engineer, is a chauffeur, or in some departments, the battalion chiefs or deputy chiefs have a firefighter or engineer that's the chauffeur. It's sometimes a position of, why does the chief have a driver? They don't need a driver. Well, okay. Think about it this way. If the chief has to drive themselves going to a call with lights and siren, known as code 3, and then they also got to listen to usually the radio, the primary channel. They have to listen to the secondary channel, because usually when we have a significant incident, we move that incident to a secondary command or tactical channel. So that chief responding to the call, especially if it's a small department, has to monitor both channels. And they also may have to monitor their phone because people are calling them. And then, of course, God forbid, they got to actually monitor traffic and getting to the call. It's a recipe for disaster, having one person trying to do all those things. That's why some departments have said, you know what? We need to have a driver for the chief. And it's not just the chief's driver, you know, why are they special? It's a safety reason, because it allows the chief to focus on, oh yeah, not just the phone, but there's also usually the iPad or the computer that they're also having to monitor. Good. I mean, I'm surprised more chiefs don't get in accidents. It can and will happen at some point because of all the distractions. But also, more importantly, once they get to the scene, it allows the chief to have someone there to help them out with tracking resources, tracking personnel, a second set of eyes to see the big picture. So a lot of departments don't call it the chief's driver or chief's chauffeur. That's an old school term. They call it sometimes a more formal term, field incident technician, because that's really what they are. They're a field incident technician, to be a second set of eyes and ears for the chief. So in the next episode, number 75, we're going to discuss some more roles that a firefighter may find themselves in on any given day while on duty. So hopefully you're finding at least one of these tips each episode to be valuable, and maybe something you've yet to hear. So as always, don't forget, all eyes are on you during probation and even off probation, but especially during probation, and that it's when you're supposed to be the best you can. So be that person, be the best you can be. So as always, thank you very much for the gift of your time. In closing, be safe, take care, and we'll see you soon. All right. Have a great day, everybody.